Welcome to the Moments That Matter podcast. I am your host, Laura Escamilla.
And I am your co-host, Isaac Escamilla.
And today we have Teresa Villarreal, a scholarship coordinator at UTRGV, joining us again.
Welcome back.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
So we've had you before, and as we were talking off air, I feel like last time that we talked, you provided a lot of valuable information, things we didn't realize and know about the scholarship opportunities at UTRGV, but I feel like we missed a window of getting information out to incoming freshmen. So here we are, starting again, getting prepared for the next cycle, I guess 26. Oh my gosh. Applications are open. People are applying, trying to get admission into schools. So I really wanted to get ahead of that and make sure we're getting parents and students information about the opportunities. So if you can just give us a little update of the current state of the scholarship department there at UTRGV now. There's been I'm sure a lot of changes with everything.
Yes, I'm happy to say that things are really good in the scholarship office. Entering freshmen, our high school seniors are applying for admissions and submitting transcripts and ACT and SAT scores, and they're getting accepted, which is what we want them to be doing right now. Our office is working hard on promoting the scholarship opportunities to both prospective students and current students. The online application opened on time on October the 1st. And so we're happy to get the ball rolling this semester.
Yeah, so we're a few days open. So you did mention that you're getting scores in.
Yes.
Is that something that the university is looking at now? Because I know sometimes some
Yes.
are optional.
So there's two ways for entering freshmen or current high school students to get scholarships at UTRGV. And the first is merit-based scholarships are awarded based on a holistic review of all documentation that's submitted with the admissions application. So there isn't a specific application for merit scholarships.
Okay.
And merit scholarships are UTRGV Scholars Presidential, Meritorious, the Gateway Scholarship, the Top 10% Opportunity Scholarship do not have an application. So we're looking at things submitted with the admissions application. So transcripts, ACT or SAT scores. We're looking at high school class rank and GPA, but we're also looking to see if the student has done any dual or concurrent enrollment, what those classes were and what that GPA was. So students are encouraged to submit all the documentation so that we have a good picture to start looking at when that holistic review happens.
So in the holistic process, you mentioned they're dual. Do you look at the competitiveness of the course that they were taking, the rigor of it,
Exactly.
and what they challenged themselves with? Because I feel like that's something that doesn't get shared enough, that there's a difference between a calculus class and an art appreciation.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
An A is not an A everywhere, right?
Right. And so all of that is taken into consideration. And although ACT scores or SAT scores are not required for admissions, it's not an admissions requirement at UTRGV, but we are looking at it for scholarships. So it's important for students to submit those scores.
For merit scholarships.
Yes.
And wouldn't you say the ones you've listed are all the major scholarship initiatives?
Yes.
Or are there more that...
There's more. Our Luminary Scholarship is very popular and it's a very competitive, but it's a great scholarship opportunity for high school students. And that's awarded based on the online application. And that's the second way for students to get UTRGV scholarships. The online application is used to award endowment scholarships, departmental scholarships, and that Luminary Scholarship is part of the online application. And that opened October 1st. Entering freshmen need to know that they need to have been admitted, have submitted everything by the December 1st deadline.
Is that the deadline for all of the scholarships? Are they the same December? Or?
Yes, that December 1st deadline is the deadline for all entering freshmen, high school seniors. Current students, graduate students, and transfer students have a February 1st deadline.
Which is when we spoke last time. We were in the transfer student
opening. Because that one was still open, yes. But this year, we're here in time to talk about those opportunities for entering freshmen. And December 1st is the deadline. So if they want to be considered, they need to have admissions cleared and be admitted to the university by the December 1st deadline. And they have to have submitted the online application by December 1st. They don't need to be admitted to submit an application, but they do have to have applied because all of our scholarships online are done on a platform called Scholarship Universe. And in order to log into Scholarship Universe, they need a UTRGV email and password. So as soon as students apply for admissions, they're assigned an email and they can activate the email, create their password, in order to be able to log into Scholarship Universe.
So that's an
So,
important point, right? That's the gateway to access your
Right.
scholarship information. So be sure you do apply, correct?
but
Apply, yes.
but getting the email does not mean you were admitted.
It
That
means
just
that
means that you can follow the process of your application and the scholarships and what have you.
so
Okay.
between now, when they receive that email with their UTRGV email and password in order to log into Scholarship Universe, they can log in, but by December the 1st, they need to be admitted in order to be considered for those endowment scholarships.
So it's open now. You said October 1st. These opportunities open so they can start applying. I
Right.
imagine hopefully students have already applied for admissions, but does everything have to be turned in by the December 1st? Like if they're
Everything.
they started their admissions now, but they're taking the ACT or SAT
It's too
Saturday.
late.
So
If it's not in by
already,
December 1st, then it's too
so
late.
anything exams they have scheduled for the spring won't count.
Nope.
Whatever they do as of December 1st is what gets considered.
Right.
But
That's a
if they're
very
doing
important point.
something,
Yeah, that is a very important point to
what
know.
if they're taking their exam this weekend and they'll have the scores by
Then
December,
it's good.
then they can put them in.
As long as we
Okay.
receive the scores by December 1st, we'll be looking at those in order to make decisions on merit scholarships.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about the transfer student opportunities. You mentioned incoming freshmen, but the ones that open in February, what do
Right.
those look like?
For current students, graduate students, and transfer students, they have until February 1st
Okay.
to submit the application. Transfer students are also eligible for transfer merit scholarships. For the transfer merit scholarship, again, like the entering
Mhm.
freshman merit, there isn't an application, but we're looking at the transfer GPA. Students have to be admitted by the priority admissions deadline for the fall. That's November the 1st.
Okay.
And the availability of funding. And the required GPA is at least a 3.0.
Oh.
Students that have a GPA between a 3.0 and a 3.5 are eligible for level 2, and students that have above a 3.5 are eligible for a level 1 transfer scholarship. And there's a difference in the funding.
So the
Depending
sooner
on the
they
level.
do it, the better because funding can run
Right.
out, right?
Funding can run out, yes.
Are there opportunities for graduate students for
Graduate
scholarships?
students have great opportunities. Right now, we're offering a graduate incentive for students that are beginning in the spring. There was a fall spring graduate incentive
Mhm.
that didn't require an application, that was based on admissions. And those students for the spring semester have to register for classes by January the 3rd in order to be
Okay.
eligible for that graduate incentive.
Okay.
And then they can
amazing.
also submit the application before February the 1st to be considered for endowment and departmental scholarships.
So when you say for all of these scholarships, when you say there is no application, it's just based on their admissions.
Admissions, yeah, we
So you
look at
get all that
admissions.
information that comes in with their admissions
Right.
application.
The admissions office, both undergrad and grad, are really good at sharing the information. We get reports and we review the eligibility for new admits.
Are there scholarship opportunities for incoming freshmen that they specifically have to apply for separately?
Those are the endowment and the
endowments.
departmental through Scholarship Universe and Luminary are
Okay.
all awarded through Scholarship Universe.
Okay.
So I love Scholarship Universe. I think it's a great platform. It centralizes everything. It centralizes the application. It
Mhm.
centralizes their information. Students can answer questions to receive scholarship matches, and they can look through those scholarship matches. They can submit recommendations. The Luminary Scholarship, the UTRGV Excellence Scholarships require recommendations. And so
Okay.
students can submit recommendations, request through the Scholarship Universe portal. The scholarship recommendations that the student is given by their recommender is stored on the Scholarship Universe platform. Students can review the applications that they've started, that they've submitted. If they're pending a thank you letter or anything, it's all on that one platform and they can access it on their dashboard.
So they shouldn't necessarily, because you have merit scholarships available, part of admissions that you look at, they shouldn't take that for granted. They should immediately go once
Exactly.
they get their email and go apply to the other
To the
through
others.
Scholarship Universe. That
Because
they
we
have
can
both.
stack. We
Okay.
can give a student a merit scholarship and we can give them an endowment scholarship as well. So the more
Add it all in.
scholarships, the better.
Yeah. The more free money.
Yeah.
I mean, that
And
can help.
once,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about the awarding process later, but once the student's been awarded, they can check what they've been awarded. They can accept scholarships and they can submit thank you letters all through Scholarship Universe. So even though Scholarship Universe, it's not a sit down and in 20 minutes the application is done. You have to spend some time on it, but everything is there.
Okay, that's great information to
And
know.
we can check as administrators, we can go in and say, yes, you accepted, or yes, you've submitted that application, or No, we're still pending that letter of recommendation. Or once a student has received a scholarship offer and they can't find the email. I don't know what happened to that email. It's got
Right.
lost in all my other
It's in
email. We
there.
can send it again. We can
Okay.
send copies with the link to accept the scholarship through Scholarship
That's
That is
Universe.
so
amazing.
great. That sounds like a
Yes.
wonderful platform.
Yes, I am very impressed with that platform. We've only been using it for about 3 years.
Okay.
And it is so beneficial. And even though for some students, they just want to sit down and do a 20-minute application and be done. And this
Right.
takes a little more time. And I encourage students to spend a Saturday afternoon
Mhm.
on Scholarship Universe, just getting to know that
Or a
platform.
holiday. I think
Or a
Columbus
holiday.
Day is coming
Yes.
up. They're going to be available and out of school. Take that time.
And it sounds very much worth it.
Yes,
Worth
it
every
is very
minute you
much
spend on
worth it.
them.
Yep.
Is Scholarship Universe, you may not have the answer to this, a platform that all the UT system is using?
No.
Because I know UT Austin recently changed also to a different platform, like of similar
No,
nature.
universities can
Pick whichever they want.
whichever one they
Okay.
find most beneficial. And we've been using it, like I said, for 3 years. It also has a list of external scholarships. When outside agencies contact us and say maybe the Bettis law firm wants to offer a
Mhm.
scholarship and they want to list it on Scholarship Universe, they have to go through a vetting process. So we know that the external scholarships that are listed on scholarship are legitimate opportunities because they've gone through that vetting process.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And so there's always a list of external scholarships as well. And a student can click on the view option to see what the requirements are, and they can click on the apply to go to the application to apply
I think
because externals all have different deadlines and different requirements.
I Hope Star Scholarship Fund is listed.
It is. It definitely is. It's one of our outside scholarships listed on Scholarship Universe.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What if a student, incoming freshman, current high school seniors, I'm sure they're applying to many schools. So they have applied to UTRGV, they've been admitted, but they are not sure that they're going to go. Can they still fill out the application for
can
scholarships
definitely-
so that they can view their options, right?
Right.
So they can weigh everything properly.
And so what we do is the application deadline is December the 1st. We usually try to send out our award notifications before the Christmas holidays.
Okay.
So the student will know what they're being offered at UTRGV. And they have until the end of January to accept the scholarship offer. The scholarship offer is not binding. So they can accept the scholarship offer. It's there.
Mhm.
It's waiting for them. If they decide to come to UTRGV, then they have that set. There's also the deadline for attending orientation, but they have to accept by that January 31st deadline. Because if we cancel a scholarship for the student not accepting, then it's really hard for them to get it back.
What happens if the student declines it? Somebody did not receive money. They didn't get any scholarship offer. And then another student declines what they were offered. Do you use that money and award other students?
We do.
That's because STARS does that. If a student rejects it, we go to the next person.
And we wait until
So there is not to be discouraged if they don't get
Right.
something. They could be an offer later.
there's always a possibility later. It depends on funding. And
Mhm.
some years we have a lot of funding left over. This year was a year where we didn't have
Have any.
everybody who said that they were coming and everybody who accepted
Took it.
came. Yes. And so
That's
we
awesome.
That's a really good thing.
yeah, it is a
Yeah.
really good thing. And so we put students on a wait list and they would contact our office and we'd put them on a wait list. And we did reviews again I think in March and then again in June when students didn't attend orientation. Because they also have an orientation deadline where they have to attend orientation and register for classes. And the students that did not attend orientation, then we cancel the scholarship that
Right.
they had
Because
accepted.
they didn't meet their
They
end
didn't
of the
meet- right. They didn't
requirement.
follow through. And we were able to look at other students that were on the wait list, but we didn't take a lot of students off the wait list to be able to award them because we just didn't have the money.
Wow.
And that's one of the things with a growing university where maybe when we were a smaller school, that opportunity was a little more readily available,
Mhm.
not available like it used to be. Scholarships have gotten very competitive.
Mhm.
And we have so many more students who are highly qualified.
Right.
I'm always impressed with the caliber of the students that are applying and are awarded scholarships. And not only from the Valley, like it used to be, the majority of our students were coming from the Valley. We've got students coming from all over now
Mhm.
because of medical school options and luminary and football and so many things that are drawing
Changing.
students
Yeah.
from outside of the area.
And I had a similar, I guess, we have the same situation. We always have more applicants than we have funds. That's
Right.
just the way the nature of scholarships are. And unfortunately, we had a call from an angry parent that their student had received the scholarship for 2 years, and this year they didn't receive it. But it's very competitive, and
Exactly.
there just isn't enough funds. And the student's GPA dropped just 2 points, but it made a lot of difference in our scoring process
Right.
because, the higher the GPA, the more opportunity. And I don't think students recognize that just the slightest difference in score, GPA, and that, or the courses they're taking makes a huge difference.
It really does.
And for us, we're all quantitative. We score that GPA and we score those earned hours and the FAFSA information, and just a little change in income, a little change drop in GPA makes a huge
It really
difference.
does. For me, the hardest part is when a student hasn't accepted a scholarship
Mhm.
and they call back like in May and it's gone. We
Mhm.
can't give it back. And it's hard for me to tell them, like,
Mhm.
I'm really sorry, but we just can't do it. Or when a parent calls and is not aware that their student didn't accept it.
Right.
And we send out emails, we send out reminder emails, we send out text messages. We, put it on social media that
Right.
they
Yeah.
need to accept. And we'll put the note on our system that says we sent emails, we sent a
Mhm.
text message, and student did not accept, scholarship was
Yeah.
canceled.
I had a parent who had twins attending the same school, same information, same financial situation. And one of them was awarded a scholarship, and the parent asked, how can my other one not get it? And they're identical information,
Mhm.
but the other one didn't complete the application.
Ah,
And that's not anything we can
right,
control. They have to be responsible. And the parent didn't know that. Right. And that's when they find out, like, oh, but ideally, I can see in their mind, everything's in with the same classes, same
right,
everything. Why would one get it and one wouldn't? But one didn't complete it. And those are things they have to individually do. They have to submit their information
right.
individually. It doesn't
Yes.
matter what things look like.
We can't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And it's hard when tuition payment is due and parents are the ones that are concerned about how are we going to pay, and the student didn't accept the scholarship.
So,
And
do you have some strategies to share for students and families? You already mentioned as soon as they can apply, get to admissions, get their email so they can turn around and start applying for scholarships. Is there anything else? Is the ones that have letters of recommendation start getting those letters and
right,
having them ready? What other things can they do?
check the emails, check the deadlines, be aware of the scholarship requirements. When we send out the award notification, it has all the deadlines. It
Mhm.
has you must accept by January 31st. You have to attend orientation before June 1st. You must register for classes. Be aware of all those deadlines. A spreadsheet, create a
Mhm.
spreadsheet and have the
Yeah.
deadlines on the
Preach, we pledge that.
yeah, like you put it on a calendar, like just so and follow. I think as a parent, I understand. Students, high school seniors have so much going on right now.
Mhm.
Not only all of the college admission stuff and going to college fairs, and FAFSA is going to be available in December, and there's a lot, and the fun stuff, the homecoming and
The last of
dances.
everything, the
Yes,
last homecoming, the last games, the last everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
That I can understand that high school seniors feel very stressed out. So for parents, adding additional pressure sometimes isn't the best way to go about it. When my son was a senior and he was very active and very involved in school activities, I had check-ins. I'm just checking on you. Have you done this or have you done that? And then I had deadlines, and my deadlines were ahead of the university deadline.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to turn in your stuff to this school on such and such a date. Please have it ready. Okay, how close are you to having all that ready?
It's a great
Just
idea.
Yeah.
not to stress the student out
Yeah.
because they're already stressed out enough.
Let's plan it. Let's
Yeah.
spread it out and
Let's be
have
a
it make it
team.
manageable.
Yes.
Right.
Let's be a team and not me against you trying to get it done.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yes.
And that was something with our kids too, because I do this and I'm aware of
Exactly.
what this similar, I'm sure to
Uh-huh.
your son, that I was like, you don't realize how fortunate you are that I can do this for you, because there's a lot of parents who just don't know how to manage this. I said, but let's get ahead of it. Let's together. I'm on your side. Like
Right.
I am your advocate. Like I'm doing this for you. I'm not trying to punish you. I'm not trying to nag you. This is for your greater good, right?
Right.
Like,
It is a teamwork thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a team in
Yeah.
this.
yeah.
And I get questions from parents all the time about where can I get help?
Mhm.
And of course, at the university, we offer lots of help, but their high schools also have a lot of help. There's a lot of local high schools that have excellent Gear Up
Right.
counselors, that have excellent financial aid
Go
officers, go
center.
centers,
Right.
and where they offer the assistance and they can ask, especially first generation parents or parents that are not well
Well versed,
versed
right?
with the college experience, that their high school counselor and their high school administrators would be a great resource for them. Go to the parent nights, go to the college nights. We were
Mhm.
just talking about this is college week, and go to those college fairs and find out as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
there's a lot of resources available. I know a lot of people in the Go Centers, and they do a
Right.
really tremendous job
They
of
do.
reaching out to the kids. And much like you reach out to the people that gain the scholarships, right?
Mhm.
Send texts, you send them emails, you send them all the information, use social media.
And I
It-
really do. We're talking this in offline, but all the college fairs happening
Right.
this week that we've been to, and I feel like it's Thursday, and I feel like I've been working for 8 days straight this week. But I feel like they are so much more productive when parents are there because I think kids take the information, it's overwhelming, and sometimes they don't get it, right? Like when you have the student and parent tag team understanding and collecting information. I feel like it's so much more productive. I enjoy when parents get involved in that process.
Yes, I do too. And I remember doing college fairs and attending those college fairs and having more information available at the night fairs
Mhm.
where the parents were going to go,
Right.
or the senior parent night
There's
at the
more
school.
questions.
Yes.
And as for the students, okay. I feel like when the college fairs that happen during the day, when the students have to go, they're like checking a box. Their
Right.
teacher told them, I need to stop at this many places and get this many cards or what have you. But when the parents go, it's like they're pushing them from the back. You can see, ask another nudging, okay, ask another question. And a lot of times parents come on their own because their kids are busy or whatever
Hmm.
and gather information. And I love that they're
Right.
involved in that because it's hard to understand, like we were talking about earlier also, that it's overwhelming for the parents to
Mm.
grasp, especially if it's their first, especially if they've never been through it. It's a lot of information. Uh,
Definitely can be.
And
Definitely.
I'm always happy to talk to parents. If parents have questions about scholarships or what their students need to do in order to get a scholarship at UTRGV, I'm happy to answer questions
Mhm.
on the phone and explain our process. And I can look at their admissions application and I can see when it submitted, and I can encourage parents to say, hey, they haven't submitted ACT or SAT
Mhm.
scores and they don't need it for admissions, but we do look at that for scholarships. So please turn those scores in. And we're happy to do that in our office. I know we have an open door policy.
Mhm.
We're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're located on the third floor of the Student Services Building on the Edinburgh campus, and we have an assistant director on the Brownsville campus. We're all happy to talk to parents anytime.
Yeah, I feel in the nonprofit world, similar to the higher ed, we're all a big community. I
Right.
have no issue while I'm representing stars. If they ask me, do you know of any? I'm like, yes, go down the table. This Vamos is a great
Mhm.
scholarship. TMB Foundation is a great scholarship. There's no competition. We want kids to get help. And same thing, I feel like I can charge recruiting fees because I am like always like, I look at the pamphlet they have because for stars, we have partnerships with 20 colleges and universities. I'm very well adverse to like to all the information for the universities and the things they provide and if what kind of environment they offer. I try to be as informed as possible with them. So if I see a student carrying a certain pamphlet, I'm like, oh, are you interested in that? Or they're great at this and they do. I really try to be helpful, but I feel like I can be recruiting, especially if it's for Baylor because our kids went there. I'm a little biased, but
We did it
I'm
twice.
like,
We did
oh,
it
are
twice
you
already.
going
Yeah.
to Baylor? Let me tell you about Baylor. Let me tell you what to do for merit scholarships. And it
Yeah.
does all revolve around ACTs, SAT scores. And I feel like that's a big gray area that they're just not taking the tests. And we have a friend that works at Region 1 just last night was saying, getting students to understand they should still be taking these
And still
exams.
submitting the scores.
Yes, even though it's not required for admissions, you need it for merit scholarships.
Right.
You need there because, like you said, most of them are holistic, and you want to
Mhm.
get a great idea of this. And was in El Paso a week ago, and I was talking to our partner there, UTEP, the University of Texas El Paso, and the financial aid scholarship person is saying how all their scholarships are now changing also to holistic. It used to be quantifiable based on whatever GPA and things, but now it's all holistic. So they have to look at everything. I think more schools are changing to that to make sure they're awarding the funds to a student who's really going to be committed to succeeding.
Right.
So I think this is something that across the board has to be acknowledged. With that said, are there common mistakes that are happening that you can advise against, like not sending their
Not
scores?
sending the scores. especially for schools that don't rank.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at a holistic review and we're looking at GPA and we're looking at class rank, schools that don't rank are missing that component. So
Yes.
other components need to come in and be a little bit stronger. So the dual enrollment classes or the concurrent enrollment classes, the GPA, and those ACT or SAT scores.
Mm-hmm.
And so if one, you don't have the class rank and then you don't have ACT or SAT scores, a disadvantage. So the
Right.
more information is submitted, the better. And meeting those deadlines, like I mentioned earlier, not accepting by the deadline or not submitting by the deadline, not being admitted to the university by that December 1st deadline,
Mhm.
completely knocks a student out of the running.
So
And
are there other components? Are there resumes? You mentioned letters of recommendation, but are there things of that nature that they can prepare now to have submitted?
yes,
Okay.
the Excellent Scholarship application, which is the endowment
Mhm.
scholarships, requires short answers. There's
Okay.
the 4 very common questions. What are your goals? What have you been involved in? What do you plan to do with these? Why did you choose this major? And if a student has that ready, they can just copy and paste it
So
into
just
the
going
application.
to look at the prompts and
Look at the
preparing
prompts.
that.
Yes. And knowing who you want to ask to be a recommender. So you have the email address for the recommender. I want to talk a little bit about our Luminary Scholarship.
Okay.
And Luminary is our most competitive but most comprehensive scholarship. Unlike the merit scholarships that'll cover undergrad, Luminary covers graduate school and it covers medical school for the
Mhm.
students that are looking to go into a medical program.
Wow.
And so it's a huge scholarship, but it's also a very competitive
And it
scholarship.
covers all
Tuition,
fees.
fees, housing. It
Oh,
has a
housing
housing
as well.
component.
That is
Yes.
amazing.
It's and undergrad, grad, and medical school. So it's an amazing opportunity
Mhm.
for highly qualified students, but they do have to submit a resume and they do have to submit an essay and they have to submit letters of recommendation. And 2 have to be from high school officials, a high school counselor, a high school administrator. And it all has to be done by December the 1st.
Right. And with that said, they should act on it now
Now.
because you have to give administrators, your teachers, enough time to write those because you
Exactly.
can't expect them to do it in a day or two. And we've done episodes with that. Give them enough time to do that for you properly because you don't want them to do it in haste. You don't want
Right.
them to rush through it.
And you don't want that to be the component that's missing on December the
Right,
1st.
right.
So give them plenty of time. And so having all that ready. Now, Luminary also, just to give you an idea of how competitive the scholarship is, we had 700 applications, over 700 applications for this year's cohort. Of the 740 students were selected for an in-person interview.
Okay.
And so there is an in-person interview that happens in February. There's an interview committee that talks to the students in person. Students and parents come to that in-person interview. And out of those 40 students, 23 were selected this year.
Wow.
So it is
Wow.
very
That is
competitive.
extremely competitive.
But these students, we had an event with them last night, so impressive. They're outgoing. They have amazing leadership skills. They're all so well-rounded. They're so much fun to be around, and they are going to do great things.
Right.
So if the student receives this amazing opportunity and they apply to other scholarships outside, can they add those? Can you stack those?
It depends on their
just-
budget.
Okay.
Really, like
If
then
they
we get
read
into
cost of
the
attendance
right,
and what
right.
have
Then
you.
we get into the nitty gritty.
Because I'm wondering if any of those luminaries are STARS recipients and how that works for them. Because we do
if they
have
have the
students.
budget, if they have room in their
We
budget.
do have students at times that we offer and they decline because they have a specific scholarship that
Right.
has already met all their need.
Yes,
So-
and a lot of them are valedictorians, and
Mhm.
so they're getting the valedictorian scholarship as well. And we try to award as much
Mhm.
as possible, but it just depends on their other awards because again, we can't go past cost of attendance, and so it just depends on the cost of.
He-
Luckily, most of them have they live on campus, so they have a higher budget because they're on campus students.
Okay.
Okay. They have more room for
They
that.
have more room for several awards.
Have you seen a change in the landscape? As I was mentioning with UTEP, they informed me that they're changing to a holistic process. They're also getting rid of the valedictorian scholarship that they offer there. And so have you seen a change in the scholarship world with those kind of things?
We're still offering the valedictorian
Mm-hmm.
scholarship because it's a state exemption,
Mhm.
and that hasn't changed. What we are seeing again is the competitiveness
Right.
and the caliber of students that are applying for scholarships, and how many are coming in with lots of college credit hours, and how many
With an associate's degree
with an
already and
associate's
everything.
degree, and they got great GPAs. There's high school students seem to take it a little more seriously than they did maybe 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And that landscape has changed a lot. And again, because UTRGV is becoming a bigger university, we're seeing a bigger applicant pool. And the ones that are going to stay here are accepting the scholarships and they're taking advantage of the opportunities that they have here at UTRGV. And it's a bigger
Yeah.
pool.
And I don't think they can take it for granted anymore that because they are from here that
They're going to
gonna
get
it.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That there would be some preference to them living here or gaining one of those
Yeah,
scholarships.
not
No, not at all.
anymore.
It's very competitive. I
Yep.
agree.
Are there any scholarship opportunities maybe specific to fields that are underutilized that we can tell students that for STEM or things like that maybe you don't see as large of an applicant pool?
The Greater Texas Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and that scholarship application is available through Scholarship Universe. There's the Texas Leadership Scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
That's an outside scholarship that has a housing component.
Okay.
We don't award our UTRGV housing scholarship to students from the Valley. We only select students from outside of the Valley to receive the housing scholarship.
Mhm.
So if there's a Valley student that knows that they want to live on campus and they're looking for a scholarship that's going to pay for on-campus housing, the Texas Leadership, and it's
Oh,
an
okay.
outside scholarship. The application is available through the Texas Leadership website. The easiest way is to Google it to
Mhm.
find it, and the deadline for that is in February.
Okay.
So that's one that I encourage students and counselors and parents to look into because of the housing component. And it also has a leadership training component to it as well. So it's a really good opportunity for students. There's a scholarship called the Dream.us scholarship that is an outside scholarship. It's a great opportunity for a lot of students. And so we also encourage students to apply for the Dream.us. For more information on that, Google the Dream.us. We promote that with high schools a lot. They do a good job awarding a lot of students, and it's a national scholarship. We
Okay.
That's
encourage students
great,
to apply
yeah.
to that one. And of course, BAMOS and STARS, and look at the external scholarship opportunities, because I don't think that students give those enough, not BAMOS and STARS because they're local, but the other
Yeah,
external,
there's
tons and tons of
yeah.
opportunities.
We had on last season TMB Foundation and
Uh-huh.
their scholarship. They don't give a lot of them, but they cover everything for 4 years. So
Mhm.
it's, an amazing scholarship if you can get it. But I don't think people just pay
No.
attention enough to their resources, to their banks, to their credit unions, to their
Right.
information.
HEB does a really good job awarding their employees, and I'm
Mhm.
always happy to see the HEB employees come in with their scholarship checks. Chick-fil-A, if
Mhm.
students work at Chick-fil-A, they have a really good scholarship program, and we work closely with those students who bring us the checks. And you never know when your parents' employer or the place that you have a little part-time job
That is
offers it.
nice. I'm happy to hear
Walmart,
that.
yeah, Walmart awards we have an endowment through Walmart, and the application is on Scholarship Universe. Ford awards through Scholarship Universe. GM awards. The Ogdens, the backers,
Yes.
Mhm.
have several scholarships, and they're all awarded through the Scholarship Universe platform.
That's good to know.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any advice for first generation students and their families when accessing scholarships? You mentioned that you all are happy to speak to
Mhm.
them, but is there any advice you can offer? Are there seminars? Are there opportunities for them to attend things that they know about?
We're doing Discover UTRGV programs. And so there's a couple happening in November and then one in December. And that's a great opportunity for students to come and visit our campus. We're doing one for students that are interested in health professions.
Mhm.
And our undergraduate recruitment office will send out the invitations to students that have been identified as being interested in a health profession so they can come to the Discover UTRGV, a program for health professionals. And then there'll be another one for prospective UTRGV scholars. And so that's a great time to visit the campus, to spend some time with our current students, to spend some time with administration and representatives from different colleges, and see, I like to say, what the vibe is
Yeah.
at UTRGV, and see if you can see
Right.
yourself as part of our student body.
Definitely.
And so those invitations are sent through undergraduate recruitment, and they're sent to the high school students. And parents are welcome to come. This year, I did the parent orientation presentations, and we saw huge groups of parents
Mhm.
that are interested in coming to orientation with their students. So it's not just send your student to orientation, but parents come with them. And a lot of them are first generation who want more information about what their student is going to be
What
doing.
their experience is
Yes,
going to be for sure.
exactly.
That's very encouraging.
Yes,
I like
yeah.
that.
And so I liked when it was a big interactive audience that had a lot of questions. And so encourage students and parents to come to Discover UTRGV. There'll be a couple of school districts that are having their own PSJs, having a PSJ to UTRGV Day. Rio Grande City is having a Rio Grande City to UTRGV Day.
Okay.
And so those are great opportunities for students. And those happen during the school day.
Okay.
And so maybe we're not going to get a lot of parents, but students need to be aware that those opportunities are there and to talk to their high school counselors and sign up and come and see us.
That's great
That's
that they
cool.
do that.
Yeah, and
I
it's
love
not
that.
just a one-time thing. It's several throughout
consistent,
the
yeah.
semester. Yeah.
Nice.
And what's on the horizon? Are there any new opportunities coming up for, maybe 25, 26, but 26? I know football's coming. There's a new
Football's
physical
coming.
therapist
Yes.
program happening. Are there scholarship opportunities happening for those
Yes.
things?
The athletic department handles all athletic scholarships, and they handle all football and swimming and all the new sports. Band. They
Oh,
offer
our
a
new
little incentive and little scholarships for the students that are involved in the marching
marching band.
band.
Okay.
And
That's true. I hadn't thought of.
yeah, the marching and drill team. And so spirit groups have scholarships that they award to their participants. And so there's a lot happen. New housing. I think the RA
Mhm.
opportunity and the RA positions
Yes.
are underutilized. And so those are housing. They get housing
Mhm.
paid for. And so with new housing, new dorms, lots of growth.
That's really cool to
Yeah.
I
hear.
love to hear that because we were in school when it was UTPA.
Uh-huh.
We're both alumni, but when it was UTPA and it just wasn't what it is now. I go to campus now, every Christmas break for our marketing
Yes.
campaign, and I love seeing the new buildings, and we go take photos. This is a new building, and this is a new area. It's so wonderful to see
Yes.
that growth. It's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
almost unrecognizable, but in a very positive way. Like it's
Right.
very impressive. All the new details, and I just really enjoy
And
it.
I think we're always coming up with new ways to serve and new ways to help our student body and new opportunities and new things happening. And I like to see that too. I
Yeah.
like to see the growth, and I like to see the new people coming in and the new people that are coming from all over
Right.
for different reasons.
And I'm sure your time, we're like, again, before we started, you mentioned you've been doing in higher ed for 22 years. I'm sure the changes to
Yeah.
your own department and your own work has been,
Yeah, I
changed
remember
dramatically.
when I first started and I was an admissions counselor for
Mhm.
a university outside of the valley. There was maybe like four schools that had admissions counselors in the valley. And now there's so many, and there's so many added to the staff. And all those people have one goal, and that's to help high school students make the transition from high school to
Mhm.
college as easy as possible.
Like I said, I've gone to college fairs all week, and there's universities I've never heard of that are now coming and recruiting students from the valley, and I think it's so amazing. And I'm sure that they're targeting first generation students that wouldn't know when. Same thing. I was a first generation college student. I didn't know all the university opportunities that were available back then, but now with the internet and now with them increasing all the information that's available to them, and it's great to see these schools out there.
Mhm.
It's a big change and where they can get information.
And I would
Mm.
our admissions representatives and our outreach staff visit high schools all the time.
Mhm.
So if students have questions, if parents have questions, find out when that representative is going to be at the school
Yeah.
and go to the presentation.
And I'm always talking to students that we run into. I said, I'm going into all of that. And they're like, oh, they want to leave to here in nursing, to go to nursing. I'm like, UTRGV has a great program. There's a lot of amazing
Mhm.
programs that have really grown at the university that I think they should go find out information. They should go make sure that they understand all the opportunities. The engineering program, we have several students who have graduated from the UTRGV engineering program instantly into jobs and amazing opportunities.
Right.
So I think they shouldn't
Count us out.
count it out. Yeah.
I don't know
for
a
sure.
single one that hasn't done very well
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
from that
sure.
program.
Don't count it out.
Yeah.
And of course, look at us. We're
We're all doing
we're
so
all
good.
doing so well. I got my undergrad and my master's at UTPA, UTRGV. So don't count it out. So as we wrap this up, you've shared a lot of amazing information. Just if there's any guidance we can provide or advice to parents on how to support their students through this. We talked about making it manageable for them and time frames, but are there any other advice we can give parents to help through this process, specifically with UTRGV?
I would say that parents again, being a team and going into this process with their student and knowing what the student wants and what's going to be best for the student and what the goal is, really having that goal in mind when they are trying to support their student, and just be as supportive as possible and not be afraid to reach out to the high school counselors, reach out to our office, reach out to admissions offices. The more information, the better. And like I said, we're all in the same boat trying to help these kids as much as we can.
I
Yeah.
also think these opportunities are great to help parents guide their students to advocate for themselves and to speak up for themselves and ask questions. On Instagram, there's that meme with the student learning how to make a doctor's appointment for himself. These are great opportunities
Right.
to do that, make an appointment with financial aid and with scholarship office and with admissions, however they need to get answers and not just let it go that they don't know. But these are great tools before they get to college, because they're going to have to do that over and over again when they get there. But, help them
Help
ask
themselves,
help
yeah.
them,
No,
help
it's
them
an
ask
important
questions.
skill to learn how
Right.
to advocate for yourself and make an appointment for
Yeah.
yourself
And
for anything.
we talk about that, but to make a phone call or send an email, what should it say? What should
Right.
it say?
And
Guide them through that. Help parents help guide their kids through that. This is sweet. I was surprised, and I've talked about this before, that our kids, what is BCC? What is, I'm like, ugh, this, or CC, what, I'm like, okay, this is a carbon copy. This is another person you want to receive the email. This is just these are opportunities to just guide them a little bit to adulthood.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think. Thank you, Tracy,
You're
so
very
much for your
welcome. I'm
time.
happy to be here.
I
And
learned so much.
reach out to our office if there's any questions. Please attend those on-campus events. Check emails, check accounts, activate.
Get all that in
Yes,
order.
I know it's a lot. I completely understand that sometimes for parents and for students, it can be overwhelming. But
Yes.
there are people and there are resources, and we all just want to help.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to have financial aid back too, because
Good.
that's coming
So-
up, a whole other thing coming up.
December the
Again,
1st.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess the
And-
biggest takeaway is that there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that are willing to help. So
Yeah,
please
for
reach
sure.
out.
Just ask.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just ask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
No problem.